Hi, my name's Jonathan Hicks. I'm back at the Dice Cup, and this evening I'm joined by
Mark.
And we've just finished playing Spirit Island, which is a cooperative game where you play the part of spirits. You have these annoying little invaders who keep invading your island and building their towns and cities, and you're the native spirits of the island. You're trying to drive them off. The way you play the game, though, typically is with cards. So I was this sort of rock spirit here, and each person gets a different character, and they do play quite differently. You have a set of cards, which again are very different. Different players get different cards, and they're going to do different things. So you sort of pick certain cards to play, and after you've played them, they go into a discard pile. At the start of the round, though, you have a couple of different actions you can choose from. So you can choose to get all your cards back, which is going to be very important because they don't automatically come back to you. You have to take an action to do that. You can gain an extra card, so this is like a little bit of deck building. You can get an extra card, and in fact you kind of get a choice of different ones that you can add to your deck potentially. Or you can gain energy, which is the currency that you need to spend to play the card. So for example, if I wanted to play this card here, I'd have to pay 1 energy in order to play the cards. So you're picking one of these things, but crucially you're also adding presence onto the board. So you can remove either from here or from here, and as you remove from here, it increases the amount of energy you get each round. As you remove from this row, though, it increases the number of cards you can play each round. So if I remove this one, I'm going to be able to play 3 cards every round, which is very helpful. So then you get your energy income, which in this case would now be 6, if I manage to unlock that one. And then you decide which card you want to play. And the cards are going to do all kinds of various things, but essentially, you're trying to deal with the invaders. So I was a kind of Hulk smash type character, so I had quite a few cards that would either push the little guys around or just do damage. The little guys take 1 damage to kill, the cities are 3, and there's like little towns that take 2 damage to kill. So I was kind of running around killing the guys. You also have this important thing called Blight. This is one of the main ways in which you can lose the game. If all the Blight disappears off this card, every time you need to take a Blight and stick it on the map, which typically happens when these guys do damage, then you put one on here, and if you run out from the card, you lose, so you've got to watch out for that. So I think I had a card that could remove some Blight as well. But you're playing the cards, as I say, to do various things, and some of them get a lot better, sort of more powerful. And one important thing is you're trying to add fear. So there's a certain amount of fear that you're trying to add. Each time you add fear, you move into this generated fear section here. And if you get enough fear, it adds a fear card, which is like a special ability. You're kind of spreading fear across the island, and then at the start of each of the invaders phase, which I'll talk about in a second, it's going to do some effect that's going to help you. So in each land with a hut, there's a kind of native village hut. These are the good guys. Then it defends 1 against their attacking, plus an extra defense for every hut. So spreading fear helps the locals. But then after you've tried to deal with these guys and do some damage and things, then they get a turn effectively. And there's a nice system with cards here. So to start with, you flip over one of these cards, and it adds extra guys. So in this case, all the coastal lands, so this is the sea down here, so any space that's next to the coast would have one of these little guys added to them. Then here, actually we do the ravaging first. These, in any mountain area, the different people will attack. So this guy here is going to do 1 damage. If there's any kind of town here, that would do 2 damage, and that will potentially kill your huts, and this is also how you get the Blight appearing. Then they build, so in this case it's any sand location, so if anybody is in a sand location they would build more of the towns and cities, and then as I say they explore and you get lots more guys. So they very rapidly spread across the island, as you can see here, and you're all the while trying to fight them back through the card play. Ultimately you are trying, in order to win, you need to, there's different victory conditions depending on how many fear you've got. So to start with, you need to get rid of everything, all the invaders. But as you get more fear being applied, it triggers this second terror level, and then you just need to get rid of the towns and cities. But if you get lots of fear, then you only need to get rid of the cities, and that's how we managed to win in the end, by getting rid of all the cities, and we won the game. What do we think?
It's hard to say of a one play. It was definitely interesting. The mechanisms after a couple of rounds made good sense and worked quite well. I suppose the trickiness is remembering where you've populated stuff on the board, but I suppose you could say that about Pandemic or anything like that anyway. The interest in the game seems to be the fact that the spirits did play quite differently. I think I mean, we played the basic game, but when you start, which we didn't, choosing the power cards you gain, I think you'll be trying to gain combos and stuff, and which will add interest to it, makes it different. And then I guess I have got the expansion that adds other bits to it, which are sort of in the Kickstarter main game as a single sort of thing, which adds more to it. But it's good. As far as a cooperative, it's definitely tricky. I mean, we did win the first one, but it was the very base, easy game. So it's not exactly designed to be won as your first one, but it's not too bad. It was tight, and tight's generally quite good.
Rating?
On one play, I give it 7.5.
Okay. It's heavy. It's a lot heavier than it appears. You set out the nice little island, all the little guys are in everything. Oh yeah, that's fine. Kill a few guys, they sort of spread around. But actually, the card play gives you an awful lot to think about, because you can play any of the cards as long as you've got the energy to spend on the cards, and they often combine, like Mark was talking about, in various different ways. Some of them work a lot better if you've got more huts there. Other ones let you sort of move the huts around or move the people around, so you kind of want to move them into certain areas where you've got all the huts, and then you can do lots of damage. So the number of combinations, depending on how you choose to play the cards, the order in which they resolve, can really give you a bit of brain strain, because there's so much going on in that sense. So for the first few rounds, I was like, what am I doing? What do I do here? But once I got to the end of that first game, I was like, oh yeah, okay, it all makes sense now. And I'm really keen to play it again. So really enjoyed it. I'd say this is one of the most complex, in terms of thinking processes, cooperative games I've ever played. So if you want a heavier co-op game, I thought this was a really good one. Really like the theme. As Mark said, the variation between the different spirits you play is really nice. We played a 3-player game, and they all felt very different in terms of what they were doing in the card play. So yeah, big fan of this one. I'd be on an 8 out of 10. All right, thanks for watching. That was Spirit Island.